I get a lot of questions regarding universe mode, and specifically what's been coming up is, how do I set it up? Or Matt, how do you set up your universe mode? So today, I'm going to go through just some of the basics of WWE 2K22's universe mode and how I like to set things up to get started. Now, as I go through this, if you're in the comments about to say, hey dummy, yeah, universe mode doesn't work, it's broken for me, I can't turn it on, it freezes, it glitches, well then this is not for you. But I would recommend that if you can, try to unload any unused logos, images, go to deletion utility, clean all of that up, make sure you don't have so much crazy stuff downloaded, because it will hurt you and it will crash your game. If you are totally stuck and the game is just like crapped out on you so much, I have uninstalled and reinstalled the game completely. That helped me a lot, particularly when they release some of the more recent patches I did at that time. So to get things started, I have just set up universe mode, clean, everything is default. I haven't done anything yet. So in our calendar here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete NXT. And as I go through this, I'm going to delete all of my pay-per-views to realign them and put in the ones that I want for sure. So one of the first things we will do here is I'll fast forward as I clean all of this up so you don't have to watch. Now, sticking with the calendar for a second here, one of the things that is happening with this game is when you want to just go in and change anything to do with like SmackDown, if I want to change the show details, if I change this arena, it defaults to Raw 2019, and it's super annoying that way. So I like to just start things off with Raw and SmackDown, keeping it the same. But because I like to have some custom shows in there, what I will do is I will edit the SmackDown, and I'm going to import a show, and I'm going to bring in a custom SmackDown show that I want. This one here should totally work. So it's the custom SmackDown version 2 that I got. I think this one is from Soyel Rue, or it's from Jenna Sting if you search them under shows or arenas. And then everything is default to SmackDown. No filters. I got that SmackDown referee. We're good to go. Save that. Now, if you go in though, and if you want to just change the arena itself, that's when the glitch is going to happen, and that's no fun. I've kept Raw the same. I don't really need to touch Raw. Sometimes I like to flip it around too, where I put SmackDown on Monday nights and flip the Raw around, or I move SmackDown to Saturday nights. It's kind of fun. You could do that. But let's go out for a second, and we're going to go to our universe itself and our settings, and then we'll talk about championships, the brands, the roster, all the good stuff. Let's start off though in options. That's where I go. I do recommend that you try out superstar mode. If you want to be able to have a specific star focused on, like you want Roman Reigns and to see how his arc is going to go, particularly around like Rumble to WrestleMania, you could do that, and then you're going to be able to curate things and you're only focusing in on Roman Reigns. It does make it a little bit of fun, and it does switch it up here and there if you're like, I just want to focus in on one star. For everything in here, I don't like to set up automatic rivalries. I turn this off. The Undertaker rivalry, I turn off. Tag team breakups and formations are off for me. Crowd reaction changing, nah, I'm not too fussed about it. Show intro, I turn off. Entrances, I leave on. The cash-ins, I turn off. I don't want the AI to be able to do the cash-ins, because they tend to do that, even if I just simulate the Money in the Bank. And then the tutorials are off, and then that's it. Superstars, tag teams, the rivalries, I'll set up the rivalries, and I will set up our champions. In here, though, what I got to do is clean slate everything. So we're removing all of our champs, and then we will start over because we got some custom titles too, and we'll reorganize everything. Okay, we've cleared out and removed all champions, so we're starting from scratch because I like to do a blank template for all of this. Now I'm looking at superstars here and where they're associated, and for some of them I will end up going through later and changing what their default attire is going to be, because for some, if I go down to, let's just say Seth Rollins or Sami Zayn, for example, Sami Zayn here, I know I've got an updated Sami Zayn attire, so I want to make sure that all of these stars are going to have updated attires. And it's the tedious part, but going through and making sure that for all your teams, enemies, allies, is set up the way you want. So I make sure that he is going to be associated with who he needs to be, and I save all my settings to my roster and to universe. It doesn't transfer over. I wish this is something that 2K23 will do. where whatever I set up in exhibition in the main settings of my roster does in fact transfer over into universe, specifically like tag teams, because we have to go through and change up all of our tag teams, delete some of the groups, what we don't want, etc. So right now, let's go through and we are going to delete, because I want to be able to set up a more modern looking WWE roster, and I don't really need any of this. And the other issue is that so many of them will just appear, and even just as managers. So like I gotta get rid of Alexander Wolf, but then what I'll do, and I won't go through it here, but what I gotta do is go through Imperium, Walter, for example, and remove Alexander Wolf from there so he doesn't come out as a manager. If you're trying to get really nitty gritty with this and really make it authentic and really close to the product, you got to go through all of these stinking steps. We'll delete all this. Nia Jax doesn't work here anymore, brother. And then we'll move on to the next step. When it comes to the shows themselves, I don't like to do a number of matches being set up as 9. It's way too many, even for Raw being a 3-hour show. I like to keep it probably around 5 to 6 matches. The match table we'll probably do on a separate episode. I've covered the match table in previous videos, but I do like to go in there and tinker with it. You can get really crazy with match tables, but I do like to modify them as I'm setting things up. What I want to do first, though, is I'm going to edit my championships and my Money in the Banks, and then I'm going to do my roster here. We're going to vacate everything in here, and we're going to have some fun with the championships. So I flip-flop between if I want to have 2 heavyweight champions, one for Raw, one for SmackDown, or if I want to keep it as like one universal undisputed champion like Roman. Right now, I think what I'm feeling is that I'm going to set it up as one universal champion across the board. And I've got this one as the Universal Championship. It's blue with the WWE logo. So it's a hybrid, and I like this as a custom belt. And I typically end up just using Roman as my undisputed champ so I can have people chase after him. Again, if I want to keep things kind of tried and true to what's going on in WWE right now, I will set people up that way. Look at that Assemble Championship. That thing's beautiful. So we're going to have that as our undisputed Universal Championship. For the second slot under champions, I'm going to go under the women. And once again, I flip-flopped in here. I don't have any other custom titles downloaded right now. But what I will do is I will just set this up as a Raw Championship. And for the Raw Championship, I'm going to give that to Bayley. For tag teams, I'm going to set it up as universal dual branded tag team titles. And I like using the older WWE tag titles. And I will give this to the Usos to kind of kick things off here. So the Usos are going to be dual brand Raw and SmackDown. Then I got to change their status on all of this to make sure that they go across both brands. So we need to have a mid-card title too. Our mid-card title will be on Raw. I think what I'm going to end up doing this time around is I'm going to put, because you don't see it often ever anymore, I'm going to put the Intercontinental Championship on Raw. And I probably will give it to Gunther. But what I will do is I will put in an older IC title. I like the 98 to 2011 IC title. And you know what? I'm actually going to put it on AJ Styles because I think that looks really good. We've got AJ as our IC champ. Now, I'll say in just a minute what I'm going to actually do with this. I'm going to change my mind here for a second, but what I'm going to do is going to be a lot of fun to kick things off for our universe mode. So I think for right now, we're going to leave out the Money in the Bank. Now, the other championship that I am going to have in here, I just went in and downloaded one off Creations. I like having a women's Intercontinental Championship. So I downloaded one here, and I love the look of it with the white strap. I like having a mid-card. I don't want to really do a tag team division for the women because I don't feel there's enough female tag teams, but there's a lot of women on the roster. I'm going to put it on Liv Morgan for our women's Intercontinental Champion. And the women's IC title is going to be cross-brand. So we've got our specific Raw champion, and then we will have Liv defending the IC title across brands. So that's going to do it for Raw. Then let's move over to SmackDown, and let's mess around with their titles and change it up. Once again, I'm going to change the matches to about 5. And the match table, I'm not going to touch right now. Let's edit our divisions. We're going to have Roman on both brands, and we are going to have SmackDown with its own women's champion. And on SmackDown, our women's champion is going to be, you know what? I think we will do Becky Lynch as our SmackDown Women's Champion. Then we're going to have our Women's Intercontinental Championship, and we need men's US title. We'll have the newer men's US title, and I'm going to put this on Bobby Lashley, who's going to be running shop on SmackDown with the US Championship. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we got 4 titles, and then, we need the tag team titles. We're also going to be putting those as dual brand tag titles with the Usos. So a lot of dual brands here. It's not a full brand split. We could do a full brand split. That's a lot of fun too. And Money in the Bank, once again, like I said, I don't know if I really want. I'm going to leave Money in the Bank out, and then I'm going to get rid of the pay-per-view itself. Just not really into it. So that's what SmackDown is going to look like for us. Okay, so participants for Raw. So what I would like to do, just to make it clean and easy for myself, I will go through and I'm going to unselect everybody on Raw. I wish there was a whole select all or not. So we'll fast forward here, but I'm going to unselect everybody so then I can re-add who I want on my roster. Okay, so I've gone in and I have reconfigured my roster, but now we're going to edit the divisions so we can add everybody together. By default, it should do a decent job, and it clearly hasn't. So let's fix this up. So Roman's the champ. We got Brock, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor in the heavyweight division. Let's go through this for a second here because I want to see who else I can add for the heavyweight. We'll add Orton back into the heavyweight division, and this will give you guys a look as to who I've got, running around. Edge we'll put in there too. So that's going to be our heavyweight division. It's pretty decent. So then let's go over to the Raw women's title, and see who's going to be in this division. We'll put all the heavy hitters in here, and we'll add in Alexa Bliss, and I think that's pretty good. Everybody else right now we'll leave in there because we also have SmackDown side. And then for the tag titles, remember it's going to be across brands, so that's okay. But Angelo Dawkins actually is going to be out because I'm splitting up the Street Profits and I'm putting Montez Ford on SmackDown as a solo star. Now for the IC title division, we're gonna put in, couldn't I put in Dom Dom? That'd be fun. But I guess we'll put in everybody else. We'll have Ali, Loomis, Austin Theory, Corbin, Walter. I'm moving over to Raw so he can fight for the IC title. Miz is in there, Riddle, Gargano, and the rest I'm not too sure. Like, I'll add in Shelton, but everybody else will kind of float around right now. I'll even add in Dom Dom because he's just such a D-bag and he wants to constantly get in people's way. So we'll have that, but we're going to run a tournament for the IC title. Now for the Women's Intercontinental, it's cross-brand, so we got to put everybody else in here for that division. So it's a really cool looking division. And then we've got a couple of leftover stars that I don't really know what I want to do with just yet, but that's going to be Raw. So then we'll move over to SmackDown and let's check out our divisions there. So over on SmackDown, we've got Roman, Ricochet for some reason in the heavyweight title. No, but we'll keep Sheamus in there. That'll be pretty cool. SmackDown's heavyweight division, even on TV, has still got a problem. Let's add in Montez Ford, and we are also going to make sure we add in Drew McIntyre wherever he is hiding. Look at your boy LA Knight in there, yeah, dummy. That's going to be the 3 on this side, and then we got like 4, 5 or whatever on the other side. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, Ronda, I've moved Mandy over to main roster, and I think she's a good fit on SmackDown. But I think right now Mandy's going to go for the IC title. Raquel as well, so heavy hitters. Charlotte, and we'll put in I need somebody else that can go in there. You know what, we'll put Shayna in there too, and that will round out the SmackDown women's title. And then also fighting for the IC title on the women's side, you got everybody else. There we go. So you got huge IC title divisions for both sides. For the US Championship, we'll put Santos Escobar, Ray, even Sammy can go in there. Shin, The Miz. I will set up Brawling Brutes, so they're going to end up being a tag team. We'll go through that in another video of all the teams that we would set up. Ricochet. I'll even throw Drew Gulak in there too. And Jinder. And I think we're... Karrion Kross, Braun, Dominic Dijakovic. Gotta put him in there. And your boy LA Knight is totally going to win the IC title, yeah? And I've moved Wesley up too. to main roster. Logan Paul I'm leaving out just so he can have some random matches, and then we'll beef up our tag division. We have a really healthy tag division on SmackDown, which is cool, and that's it. And that leaves out Logan Paul, Mansoor, Pete Dunne, Ridge Holland, Solo Sikoa, but again, I'll be showing you creating the bloodline and going through the teams that way, and we're good there. Now we have our divisions. Now the next step in all of this for setting things up, we've got Raw and SmackDown and we got no shows. So I deleted everything for the pay-per-views and we're running it in a proper 4-week cycle. And I'm going to show you setting up our basic rivalries, and then that will be that. So by default, it comes into the 3rd week, which drives me nuts. So I'm changing it so that it will add a pay-per-view properly on the 4th week, and we'll run 4-week cycles so our feuds and our rivalries will line up properly. Now, we could do a lot of custom shows, which I like to do sometimes, and it's not that hard or tedious because we can actually import everything. So we're going to kick things off by adding a pay-per-view. We're going to custom pay-per-view to kick things off, and we're going to import a show. The first show we are going to set up is going to be Backlash 2000. And then we have a lot of titles, so I'm going to jack this thing up to... 14's way too many. We're gonna set this up to I guess 10 is gonna be okay, just to make sure that we get everybody on the card. I like to make sure that if I'm gonna have all these titles that they are gonna have rivalries associated with it. So that's gonna be 8 rivalries if they're all going for titles, and then you got room for a few more on any given pay-per-view. So we got Backlash to kick it off. So now we've got everything set up so that all our pay-per-views are running every single Sunday on the 4th week, which helps my brain because it looks nice and clean. You could go ahead and add in if you really wanted to. If you like to be able to add in an NXT, I like to keep my universes separate for things. If I've done an NXT and I add it in on a Tuesday or Wednesday, I like to take a lot of the roster, to be honest, and put them into Raw or SmackDown and cycle some people out. Because I also don't want to go through and simulate so much stuff. It ends up being a lot. I mean, if you want to have super intense universe modes, that's on you. That's cool. It's just not my jam, brother. There is a method to the madness here. If we have a long rivalry, a one-on-one, and we set it to low intensity, we're gonna get some cutscenes. So our first rivalry, we're gonna make sure that we do all of our champions. So first, let's do Bayley. And Bayley is gonna have a feud with Bianca, and it's gonna be a long one. So that's gonna run 3 months, and that's fine. So the next IC title, the women's side, and we will have Liv Morgan going up against, I'm trying to think who else was in the division. Oh yeah, let's do Candice LeRae. Medium rivalry, that works. And we got 2 more slots. And I'm also trying to think, I got SmackDown, we got dual titles, right? So they're running on both brands. So right now, let's try out Roman Reigns. He's gonna have a short rivalry with high intensity, and we're gonna do this one as Roman going up against, I think, Cody Rhodes to start. Nice short rivalry that'll be a high intensity. We got another slot available here. We have the Intercontinental Championship that is going to be in a tournament that we want. So I'm gonna have this run as a long rivalry, and we are gonna have this at high intensity. And this one is going to be AJ. He's gonna be in that tournament, and I'm gonna have AJ in the IC division going up and fighting Seth Rollins. For our champions, we got them going. Good stuff. So we'll kick things off with the New Day. This will be a long rivalry, but we'll keep it at low intensity so we can try and get different cutscenes throughout. Now remember, we turned off the automatic rivalry, so they're not going to set up themselves. We will go in and do it ourselves. So that's the basics of setting up universe mode, at least on my end. We've got some good matches to start off for our rivalries that'll work, and we've set up different stipulations in terms of what the medium, the short rivalries will be, so we can try and hopefully get some different cutscenes and see some different match types. Remember, I also turned off the cash-ins. We've removed money in the bank. Get yourself some custom arenas in there too. That's a lot of fun. And if you guys enjoyed all of this, the basics, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to see a part 2, let me know. I'd be happy to do it. We can go through some of the match table stuff for universe mode and maybe making some tweaks in there. We also got tag teams to add in. There's a lot you can still do, and then maybe we can try and trigger some of these good cutscenes. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode. Bye.